AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. We're here at the Zurich Classic at the Walk-Ons tent, 17 green. Shout out to Brandon Landry, the great crew over here at Walk-Ons, as always, for the invitation to host us. Got my guy Joel Satoon, the Go DJ over there, bouncing the tunes. World's greatest golfers coming through here on a beautiful day. I say it all the time. Even if you're not a golf fan, it's irrelevant. If you're not a golf fan, if you are a golf fan, come for the golf. If you're not, come for the party. There's food, there's music, there's drinks, there's everything you could want. It's just an awesome day for a guy's day, a couple's day, a day with the kids. It's just, if you've never been, or if you've been before and it's been a while, or if you come every year, come on down this weekend to the Zurich Classic. All right. Keeping an eye on LSU and Mississippi State as they make their way. They're in the bottom of the third right now. LSU with a 4-2 lead over the Bulldogs. So far, so good for the Tigers. It would be amazing if they get off on a good foot here. LSU got off on a very good foot to start the NFL draft here in 2026. Mansoor Delane, we knew he would hear his name called in day one. We didn't know how early. Turned out it was earlier than most expected.
With the sixth pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Mansoor Delane, defensive back, LSU.
By the way, all y'all people with all your spoilers on Twitter, y'all can kick rocks. Since Terry Owen here, I'll tell you to kick rocks right now. Y'all basically forced me away from Twitter because I was sick of all your spoilers. I actually wanted to watch the draft and have a reaction to it. So Mansoor Delane goes 6 overall to the Kansas City Chiefs. And it wasn't just that he went 6. It's that the Chiefs leapfrogged both the Saints and the Commanders, two teams that were rumored to be interested in Mansoor Delane. They jump ahead to 6 to make sure they got their guy. Brett Veach talked about the decision to trade up for Delane.
I've always said this, you do all this work and you put all this time into this, but you want a guy, you got to go find a way to get him. And again, when you look at the landscape, it was funny because we kind of had, like, when we're picking, it looks like it'll be Tyson, Delane, Downs, kind of in that stack. We kept going through it. And, we just relied on our data analytics and said, like, the Saints would be likely to take Delane there just because of losing the 2 corners the last 2 years. And again, similar predicament. So just went up there and got that guy.
The other thing that's fascinating about this, so we talk all the time about smoke screens and the games that teams play. You hear me say every year on Wednesday before the draft, when there's that pre-draft press conference, and I'm always like, it's the silliest thing. Because teams do all of this work for months and sometimes years, scouting and evaluating players and doing top 30 visits and doing medical evaluations and combine and pro day and everything. Like, they're not going to tell you what they think the day before the draft. Well, Brett Veach from the Chiefs effectively confirmed that when he explained why they did not bring, again, the dude that they took 6th overall, the Chiefs did not even bring in for a top 30 visit. Here's why.
3-4 weeks ago when we were going through the 30 visits, I bumped Steve and I said, we're going to bring our corner. And he's like, don't bring him in. just don't bring him in. Let's just zoom him. Let's keep it quiet. Thought we did a good job. I think a lot of people thought we might go offensive line there. But this was our guy the whole time. Again, assuming Bailey and Reese were off the board, great players. But, I mean, we had Delane right up there. And it's hard to find, good corners. And I know that we've done well over the years of addressing corners late. But, when you're kind of within reach of a top corner, we did that a couple years ago. I think we traded a 3 and a 4 to get McDuffie. So, traded a 3 and a 5 to get Mansoor Delane. So we're extremely excited.
Basically admitted he wanted to keep it quiet. That's why they didn't bring Delane in for a top 30 visit. He was always their guy. So by the way, I want to talk about what this means for LSU in just a second. But Delane had his post-draft media availability with the media there in Kansas City, and he was asked, was he surprised that the Chiefs picked him?
I mean, obviously, I think it's an obvious case where, everybody was saying, the needs for my position and whatnot. But to me, the communication with the Chiefs wasn't really, too much, so I didn't really expect it, I would say. But just really my reaction at the time of getting picked, all my emotions came out when I seen that Kansas City, number come across my phone. It was just a blessing.
He wasn't anticipating Chiefs. Wasn't a team that had done a bunch of homework on him, at least not publicly, but they knew. And obviously they knew what we all knew, which is Mansoor Delane was the best cornerback in college football. And, I look at this through different lenses, right? I'm very excited for Delane, being the fact that he gets to go to a place with a winning culture. Patrick Mahomes will be coming off of injury, and even though he went 6th overall, typically if you're going 6th overall, you're going to a team that does it's not contending. And in this instance, the Chiefs traded up. And he's going to go to a team where he's going to have a chance with a healthy Patrick Mahomes to be right in the mix and be on a playoff team and a contending team, which is amazing for the player. I think of it through the lens of LSU as well, and I just keep going back to Corey Raymond because, hop in the DeLorean with me, crank that thing up to 88 and take it back to 2023. It just, less than 3 years ago. Think about what it was like watching LSU's defensive backfield. And we don't need to relitigate the whole thing. Y'all know, those of you who wanted Corey Raymond gone, you know who you are, and you all know you're silly. And you all get it now. But in 2023, Zy Alexander was your best cornerback. Again, an FCS transfer was your best cornerback. You had Deuce Chestnut and J.K. Johnson and Denver Harris rolling out there. I mean, think about the light years apart that is from what we had become accustomed to seeing in the LSU defensive backfield for a decade with Corey Raymond. And so Corey comes back and just immediately has flipped this thing back into what it was. And part of it was going to get a transfer like Delane and taking him from a really good college player to the best cornerback in the country, a guy who allowed 14 receptions the entire season, a guy that did not allow a touchdown catch a season ago, a guy that was a unanimous All-American, just the 4th LSU defensive back ever to earn unanimous All-America honors. I've told you this way before to put that into context, Tyrann Mathieu in his Honey Badger year in 2011 was not a unanimous All-American, which is absurd, but real. So it puts some context on the type of season that Mansoor Delane just had. And then when you have something go the way that it did like this season with Delane, it helps you go sell to transfers. Now, LSU was not aggressive in this portal cycle at cornerback. They added Traylon James from Southern. That's the only one. He's a safety that they have playing corner. So they did not go after cornerback in the transfer portal. But it's not to say they won't again. Well, they have Mansoor Delane to say, look, come here and look what you can become here with Corey Raymond. And then you look at building that block on top of everything that Corey's already done during his time at LSU in his previous stint, and now you had another building block on it, and you go, okay, well, next is DJ Pickett. And Pickett is going into his sophomore year, but Pickett was a 5-star number 1 cornerback in the country, and he's next. I'm not trying to be dismissive of P.J. Woodland, because I think what P.J. Woodland has done from a guy that was a 3-star that all of a sudden He's heavily targeted by Corey Raymond because they're like, I know what to do with that guy. And now this guy who was a 3-star that was lightly recruited is a starter and a star player in the SEC. But you're going to go Pickett. And we've talked plenty this spring about Haven Finney and the incredible work that he's done as a reclass early enrollee, a guy that should be in the spring semester of his junior year of high school and is out there running around making plays at LSU in spring practice, who was the #1 corner in the country for 2027 before he reclassed. Well, now the #1 corner in the country for 2027 is Joshua Dobson, who was just on LSU's campus this weekend on an unofficial visit while there were a dozen dudes on official visits. So you can see you were going like Delane and Pickett and Finney and Dobson, and you're building again with these elite level cornerbacks to build that room to what it was. And that's obviously a core component of what made LSU so good during that decade run with Corey Raymond. So congrats to Mansoor Delane. His one season in Baton Rouge was massively impactful in the secondary on his life, becoming the 6th overall pick and a guy that's going to make $40 million. And then also impactful for Lane Kiffin and for Corey Raymond as they continue to recruit transfer portal and freshman signees to continue to say, look, we did it before, done it again. So congrats to Mansoor Delane, the 6th pick overall of the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, it's after further review, and we're glad you're hanging out with us here on this Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Always love telling you about Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens. Jim Woodworth and the gang, man, they do awesome work, and it's so easy. Go to the website, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. Go to the website, fill out the form. They'll give you an estimate. They'll come to your home, your office, your church, the school, doctor's office, building, whatever it is. They'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. They'll close the doors and the windows, let it dwell, kill everything down to the spores. As soon as the fog lifts, boom, you're back in, free, clear, clean smelling. It's Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Friday edition of AFR. We're at the Zurich Classic. Ross Jackson is going to jump aboard with us next. As day 2 of the NFL Draft is set to begin, what are the Saints looking at with the 42nd pick and then also in round 3? Could they be trade-up targets here for the New Orleans Saints? We'll dive into that with Ross Jackson as we continue. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rev, R-E-V. Let's Rev, letsrev.com. Let's Rev. Actually, it's revfiber.com. Remember, revfiber.com is the new website that you want to know, because if you want the benefit of an all-fiber network, you want Rev, R-E-V. Lightning fast speeds and the stability of an all-fiber network. It's Rev Fiber for your home or for your office. Hey, look, Paris Construction Roofing, we are Rev customers. Guarantee Media, we are Rev customers. If you want lightning fast internet speeds, a better price, better service, a better product, let's Rev. RevFiber.com is the website, so start there. You want to get your quote. Great local service. It's Rev Fiber. You want to find out what neighborhoods now where they've laid fiber in the greater Baton Rouge area? You can do it. Go to revfiber.com. Revfiber.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right, we continue here on a Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. We're at the Walk-Ons tent, 17 Green, here at the Zurich Classic in New Orleans. Glad to have you hanging out, and glad to welcome Ross Jackson onto the show. Yo, dude, how are you?
Hey, man, doing great. Thanks for having me. Hope you're well.
Yep, our pleasure. Thank you. Quick reaction to the Jordan Tyson pick?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Saints wanted to get their offense some help, and they went and got the best player that's going to be able to help them in that area when it comes to a skill position player. It's the first time that the Saints have had first-round picks in the last since 2014, so at the last 11 years, that didn't include some offensive linemen or some defensive linemen being drafted. And so, this was obviously a big swing that the Saints wanted to take. And, injury history aside, this is a guy that can really bring a lot of juice and, of course, an explosive nature to this offense that lacked playmakers last year.
Okay, so I would assume they wouldn't have made the pick if they weren't good with the injury history. So let's assume everybody's all good there. In so doing, they passed on the opportunity to draft some guys we talked about, Ross Reuben Bain, Caleb Downs. Do you believe it was the right decision?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. I thought Caleb Downs was the best player in this year's draft, but he also didn't go off the board until 11. So either I'm insane or the NFL just doesn't value safeties. And I think if you look at the track record of guys like Kyle Hamilton and Brian Branch and Malachi Starks and now Caleb Downs, maybe the NFL just doesn't value the safety position, and that's just what it is. But, wide receiver is a premium position. When the Saints go away from their offensive line, defensive line, typical type of selections, they tend to go either wide receiver or cornerback in the first round. And so they stuck with that tendency. Whether or not it was the right selection is going to be up to how Kellen Moore utilizes them. But I do think that he was one of the three players that made the most sense for the team at number 8 overall. I would put him, Downs, and Mansoor Delane kind of as those three guys. And so, it's still one of those top 3 players that I expected the Saints to be interested in. But, whether or not he was a better pick than Downs is going to be a wait-and-see moment.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what's ahead. So the Saints have the 42nd pick in the draft. It's the 10th pick of day 2. I've seen reports, Ross, that the Saints could be a team maybe potentially trading up. Also of note, grass is green, water is wet, and the sky is blue.
Right.
That's what they do. So I wouldn't rule that out, of course. If they're standing pat at 10, what do you think either player or position they're looking at there with the 10th pick of day 2, I should say?
Yeah, I imagine that you're leaning towards the defensive side of the football. A lot of attention being given to the offense this offseason. So far, that continued last night, sort of punctuated with Jordan Tyson. So I could certainly see defense being the way that they go. And to me, the two positions that stand out the most are edge rusher as well as cornerback. And in particular, somebody that might be able to play in the slot for you, or somebody that can play on the perimeter and then allows you to move somebody over to the slot. Either one could work. And so, edge rusher right now, one guy that I'm shocked is still on the board is TJ Parker, the Clemson edge rusher, who can play in space, who can defend the run, and who can rush the passer very well. Pretty good prototype for Brandon Staley's defense. So he would definitely be one that I'd watch out for. And then when it comes to slot corner, my favorite guy in that fit for, in terms of this entire draft class is Keontae Scott, the cornerback out of Miami, who just loaded up the stat sheet, productive and disruptive type player that I think would be a great fit in this defense.
Is that someone you would think of at 42, or is that someone that might linger at 73?
I think you're going to have your best shot at both of those guys at 42. I think if either one of them had the best chance to make it to 73, it would be Keontae Scott. I don't think TJ Parker is going to last very long on the board here once the second round begins.
Okay, and Ross Jackson's with us, Locked On Saints, and of course, LouisianaSports.net at Ross Jackson NOLA. If they do make the pick at 73, and I know you were doing mock drafts once a week throughout this entire month leading up, so you have a good sense of what might be on the board. Hypothetically, Ross, if they do go defense at 42, what's the thought at 73?
You might stick with defense, right? You have those two positions, edge rusher and corner. So maybe it's you address one of those spots at 42, assuming that you stick there. And then if you stick at 73, you address the other spot at 73. And so that could look like, a TJ Parker at 42, or maybe somebody a little bit more realistic would probably be Keontae Scott at 42. And then maybe at 73, you look back at edge rushers like Jayshon Barham out of Michigan, who has off-ball linebacker experience, transitioned to an edge rusher last year in week 3 with the Michigan Wolverines defense, and still piled on 5 sacks and a high pressure rate last season. Another guy that makes a lot of sense is Kieran Crawford, a former basketball guy that transitioned to playing football his senior year of high school and has been excellent as an edge rusher during his time over with Auburn, and has a big-time kind of leadership quality around him. And so I feel like either one of those positions you can address in the second round and then maybe look to address the other in the third round. The wild card position to me on the defensive side the two wild card positions for me on either side of the football are still defensive tackle, because you'd like to improve this run game a little bit. 19th last year, so took a step forward, but still not where you want it as an NFL team. And then running back would be another place that you would potentially look at to see if you want to continue to add some competition to that room and prepare yourself for life post Alvin Kamara, whether that strikes in 2026 or 2027.
Do you think they're done at wide receiver for this draft?
I wouldn't say so. I could absolutely see them going for especially somebody with maybe some return specialist acumen. Actually, a guy out of LSU, Xavier Thomas, who, John Eric guy, like a guy that makes a ton of sense for them, who has some return ability, has good speed, and can contribute as a wide receiver. I think he would be one of those guys that I'd look for. They're Shreveport native out of Kentucky. That's Kendrick Law. He could be one of those guys. And even Georgia's Zachariah Branch, who could be a guy that you look at as well, who's probably more of a day two player. But if there was an additional trade up, or maybe they just felt like he was the best player on the board at either 42 or 73, I could certainly see them still double dipping at wide receiver at some point in the draft.
I got a couple more for you. Of course, they got 8 picks total in this draft. A big question, Ross, is do you have 8 roster spots that would necessitate using 8 picks? Where do you fall on that? Because that obviously changes the conversation about potentially trading up to get someone you like.
Yeah, look, you can always add more depth and competition towards the bottom part of that depth chart, but I think you're right. I don't know that you really have 8 total spots to really invest draft picks in, and I think that's okay. Because honestly, look, 5 of these 8 selections, with 7 selections left, 5 of those are between the picks of 192 in the 4th round, 132 in the 4th round, and 190 in the 6th round. If you have the opportunity to gather some of those picks or package some of those picks to move up and take some higher percentage shots, as opposed to a plethora of lower percentage shots, I think there's some value there. And so if you're able to package, like, for instance, they have 2 4th-round picks and 2 5th-round picks, traditionally speaking, 2 in 1 round will help you move up to the next. And so if that makes sense for you, or you package some, 132 from the 4th round and one of those 5th-round picks to try to just move up to higher in the 4th round, I think that can make a lot of sense if there's a player on the board at a spot that you can move up just outside of the top 100 to go and target.
This is a really tough one. Last one. It's a really tough one to answer right now, not knowing what the Saints are going to do in day 2. But since we won't talk to you before day 3, give me a sense of strategy or approach on the 3rd day of the draft for New Orleans.
Yeah, I think the 3rd day, what you're looking at are some of the positions where you can get some multiple play from those positions. And what I mean by that is, you look at the offensive linemen that can also be special teams contributors for you on your punt block or punt or field goal or extra point units, things like that. You start to look for depth and competition there. But you also start looking at those wide receivers and running backs that can double as return specialists, those cornerbacks and safeties that can double as gunners, those linebackers that can double as personal protectors, as well as on punt coverage and things like that. So once you get to day 3, you're starting to look for who are the guys that you can invest in that have the kind of most paths to the roster. And so it becomes less about what position they play and all the different ways they could potentially make your investment worth it. And I think that those are some of the spots that you might see them try to attack later on in the draft. Also, tight end could still be a position that they could look to add to. I've heard that there's some interest in adding to that position still. And in that day 3 area, there's a lot of really good, particularly whether you want a pass-catching tight end or a blocking tight end, you can still continue to invest in that position, which can bring some special teams value as well.
Give him a follow at Ross Jackson NOLA. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Saints, and you can read him at LouisianaSports.net. Always free. All right, dude, we appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you, buddy. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon. Enjoy New Orleans.
All right, man. Be well. Talk soon. It is after further review. The Tigers have tacked on another one here in the 4th. I'm guessing most of you who are interested in the game are probably watching the game, but it's 5-3 LSU. William Patrick singled. Ruckert was trying to lay down a sacrifice, singled. Stanfield struck out, and then Curiel reached on a fielding error by the shortstop. So that brought the run home, Patrick home, who scored on the error. So Tigers have gotten off against Tomas Valinkas, which is just it's why I love baseball. It's just it's a maddening game. But this is why you love it, because this doesn't make any sense. An LSU team dead in the water, couldn't get going offensively at home against a subpar Texas A&M staff, goes on the road to Mississippi State against a guy that has a sub-2 ERA. He's probably the best pitcher in the league. And they put up a 5 spot already here with 1 out in the top of the 4th. I mean, as they say, that's baseball. All right, it's After Further Review. We're provided by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. Check out our friends over at South Point Volkswagen. You know where to find them. As a matter of fact, just today I was having a little issue with the vehicle. This is a true story. Starting the car, is making a little funny noise. It's like, you know what? I'm driving to New Orleans. I don't want to risk it getting stuck. So let me bring it in. So when went over to South Point. And thankfully, my mom, who also drives a Volkswagen Atlas, was at home today, didn't have anything to do, so I called her. So she met me over at South Point, and I took her Volkswagen Atlas here today while my car is at South Point. So anyway, bottom line is SouthPointVW.com. They can do it all for you, and they're the best. It's South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or SouthPointVW.com. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're keeping an eye on LSU, Mississippi State. We'll have a ton to talk about previewing day 2 of the draft coming up in hour number 3 here on AFR. Let me knock out a break. Our buddy Steve Worthy from the Zurich Classic, who of course is the chairman, president of the 4Kids Foundation, who puts on the Zurich Classic every single year, will be here to chat with us a little bit as well, talk some golf with Steve, who's just to my right. So we'll do that as we continue. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, when you stand outside for 3 hours and it's 83 degrees, even if you're in the shade, you start to get a little, a little sweaty. You glow, you glisten a little bit. Great opportunity to go swan dive into your beautiful custom pool from Duplessis Pools. DuplessisBuilders.net is the website. DuplessisBuilders.net, that's the website to get Duplessis Pools. Not only can they build you a beautiful custom pool, they can also build you an outdoor kitchen. They have custom putting greens and things like that they can do at your property. It's Duplessis Pools. Check them out online at DuplessisBuilders.net. You can start that whole process at the website because they have 11 different pool designs already made where you can just choose all your finishes and features. It's right there online. It's super easy. They're going to build you a beautiful custom pool that lasts with a 10-year workmanship warranty. So check them out online at DuplessisBuilders.net, DuplessisBuilders.net.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right, glad to have you aboard with us here as we continue from the Zurich Classic. It's a beautiful walk-ons tent venue right here between 17 Green and 18 T. And the executive director of the 4Kids Foundation basically puts on this great event every single year. Kind enough to invite us is Steve Worthy, who also kind enough to take 10 minutes out of his day to spend some time with us when he's not running a golf tournament. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
All good. Yeah, busy happening event, venue. You know, across the golf course at a crosswalk, and you can hear the dull roar. So, you got it going on here. It's good.
You got the dull roar. There was a big putt made here just a bit ago. The audience listening or watching could certainly hear that. I'm a little blocked by Joel, by Go DJ, so sometimes it's hard to see around, but it's worth it. The ambiance is awesome. I know before we dive into anything else, tomorrow, delayed start?
Yeah, looks like some weather overnight, maybe in the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. range. Looks like we're going to start, depending on the number of teams that make the cut, between 9:45 and 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll go off 1 and 10T. We'll have information going out to all of our volunteers and ticket holders and on the website and everything. The venues will open the same time.
Okay.
We'll have play here same time we would have anyway. So no real changes there, but just people can get an extra hour or two of sleep.
So all the fans or the spectators that are coming, they can still come at the same time. The course will be open?
It'll be a little later. We won't open the gates. All that info will go out everywhere tonight. But rather than open the gate at 7 a.m., it'll open closer to, probably 8 a.m., 8:30.
Okay, good to know. All right, so be mindful of that. If you are coming out to the course on Saturday, check social media, check the Zurich Classic website. We'll share it out there as well. So far, great weather, obviously, and it's always the fingers crossed and you hope for, but it's been amazing. How has the course played the first 2 days?
It's, the course has been in great shape. Players have all raved about the condition. It's interesting. Usually firm and fast, because we've been so dry, makes the golf course a little tougher, but we've all been kind of surprised. Had low scores, particularly in alternate shot. Alternate shot is very difficult. And, you go the first 4 or 5 years of our alternate shot play, if you shot 1 or 2 under, you made up ground usually. Yeah. Today, we've had a 7, we've had 5s and 600s. I mean, that's golfing your golf. That's good. So the golf course is in good shape, and they're making a lot of birdies.
I know from the time you all went to the team format, and it was such an innovative thing. And it's always interesting to continue to get the players' perspective on the format. We've seen some teams change and some be very consistent. What year is this, by the way?
This will be the 9th playing.
Okay, so it's been almost a decade now. How have you noticed the player reaction to the format?
They still really like it. It was, when we came up with it, it was designed to be kind of in the middle of the schedule. So you've played a lot of individual tournaments. You come off the Masters and, a little more pressure and that sort of thing. And kind of a chance to, hey, let's go play with my friend and relax and do something different. And they still rave about it. We had some challenges this year. There was a kind of a late schedule change made that dropped an event in behind us that was elevated, which, money is one thing, but for these guys, for their future, it's FedEx Cup points that are more than anything. If they can get the right number of FedEx Cup points and guarantee they're in the elevated events again next year, it's just good. They've got no cut events and just free money, free points, and perpetuates itself. So we knew we were going to have some challenges this year. Given that, we've still gotten a good field here. It doesn't matter every year we've been here. It's never been as good as I wanted it to be. But, we're happy about who's here. And, I think the format still draws people here that, frankly, probably wouldn't otherwise come.
Yeah, the format, I say it all the time, Steve, I'm sure you would echo this. Like, if you love golf and you want to come watch the best golfers in the world, you can come here for golf. And it's amazing. You can stand right here and watch a par 3 and a par 5, and you can see great craftsmanship and skilled golf, and you could see bombs away, and it's great.
Absolutely.
If you want to just come for a party, you come here and not watch a single stroke of golf and have a hell of a good time at this place as well.
No question. And I would hate to try to put a percentage on what percentage each side of that falls. It's close to 50-50, maybe even higher on the party side than on the hardcore golf side.
Well, I think what you have for sure is the blend of people who want to watch golf but also want to party. And it's a great, you've all done an awesome job. It's a great blend of all of that. And we always mention Steve Worthy, 4Kids Foundation, of course, puts on this tournament every year and is kind enough to invite us. But the 4Kids Foundation donates money to Louisiana Children's Charities. It's like literally the root cause of why all of this is. So how do we do this year?
Yeah, looks like we're going to have a really good year. Last year, you see all our foundation members, Gordy included, we'll give him credit, who are working the venues and selling the tournament.
He keeps popping by in his little salmon-colored shirt. Hey, you need anything? You good? Yeah, I'm good, Gordy. Go tell people to be quiet by the putting green.
There we go.
Being so productive.
They take a lot of time and effort and make sure that the tournament goes well, and all of our proceeds go to charity. And so Children's Charities last year was a record $3.6 million distributed to children's charities. And our folks are very proud of that. And it looks like I feel like we're going to match that this year. Exceed, I don't know, but at least match. And, we're over $25 million over the last 10 years distributed. We've grown an awful lot and feel like we can continue to do that. And it's because of the hard work of all our members and our volunteers.
That's amazing. It's an amazing event to be at, and we always appreciate coming. So, again, tomorrow for Saturday, there's going to be a delayed start. So make sure that you're locked into social media, the website, everything to get all that info when it goes out. Anything else people need to know for the weekend?
Not really. We've got some good names on the leaderboard. I think it'll be fun. All those updated times, and the media will carry it, but at ZurichGolfClassic.com, you can see everything you need to see there. If you still want to buy a weekend ticket, we're lighter on Sunday than we are Saturday. Tomorrow's going to be crowded, but still some opportunity. So come on out and enjoy.
It's going to be great. Steve, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Steve Worthy at 4Kids Foundation. It's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We are going to wrap up hour number 2. You still have Tigers in the pros, and I do need to dive into a little bit more about, as we sort of preview ahead, day 2 of the draft, as we are about an hour and 20 minutes away from the resumption of the NFL draft. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown in Baton Rouge. Southtown's right there. Blue Bonnet near I-10, as we always say. We appreciate our friends so much at Watermark and Renaissance. Two amazing hotel properties and an amazing place to host an event. What event? Really any event. If you need a place to have your wedding or a wedding reception or both. If you need a place to have a fundraiser, Watermark or Renaissance, amazing opportunity. See, Watermark downtown is Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. Voted by you the best hotel in the best of 225. Renaissance, gorgeous, sprawling, amazing hotel. Their grand ballroom can host up to 500 people. If it's just a dozen people in a board meeting or 500 for a giant event, our friends over at Watermark and Renaissance can accommodate you, and they have amazing dining experience as well. The Gregory downtown, Tallulah right there inside of Renaissance Baton Rouge. You can't go wrong, so check them out. Watermark downtown and Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Great spot to get on by this weekend. Killing time. Always grab a amazing cigar at Don Juan Cigar Bar. Let the time fade away. Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center. Cocktail. And then just pop right next door. Don Juan Cigar Company, the retail shop. Take it with you to go. Don Juan Cigar Bar. All right, it's After Further Review. Muselu Tigers and the Pros, just a quick second. LSU is leading Mississippi State 7-3. The Tigers have... I mean, this is going to be... Now, look, there's a long way to go. They're in the bottom of the 4th now, and Fontenot's in the pitch for Plog. But this is one of those where if they scratch out a win here today, you put yourself in position. Again, there's like, I don't want to be presumptive here because they're only in the bottom of the 4th, and it's 7-3. But we've talked a lot about the math for this baseball team and how the math has to work to get to 13 league wins. And the thing that everyone has sort of pointed out as well, the RPI isn't good. And my point has been, you get 12 SEC games to go, including 16 SEC games to go. 4 weekends, 12 games. 9 of the 12 are against top 25 RPI teams. So the RPI is going to cooperate if you win. Now, if you don't win, you're in a pickle. But what became really hard to sort of project after being swept last weekend at home against Texas A&M and being 6 games under 500 is where are the 7 wins that get you to 13 in conference play? Because you're on the road against Mississippi State, you're on the road against Georgia, you're home against South Carolina, and home against Florida. The South Carolina series, I could predict LSU to win a home series, but that's 2. You need 5 more, meaning you have to win the home series against Florida, or get a game on the road against State and against Georgia, which is really tough to project that going on the road. Well, now all of a sudden, if you manage to get across again, long way to go, but if you manage to get across the finish line here in game 1, where they threw Valinkas and you scratched Evans late and went Guidry, and you're bullpenning this together. You're whole staffing this thing to get through game 1. And in theory, you would still have Schmidt, Evans, Schmidt, however you want to do it over the next 2. Now, all of a sudden, winning a road series against Mississippi State looks very doable. Like, if you manage to get this one, getting one of the next 2 feels very doable. So we're going to keep an eye on it. Long way to go in this one. But for LSU in this ball game, they've got a couple of crooked numbers that they've been able to put up already, a couple of 3 spots, and then a solo homer by Cerna is how they've handled their scoring. Guidry got the start, went 2 1/3. Binge went a third of an inning. Plog went just a third of an inning, and now Fontenot's in the ball game. So we'll keep you posted as it continues to move along there at Duty Noble Field. But LSU with a 7-3 lead in the bottom of the fourth with one out and a runner on second base after Chance doubled to right center. All right, it's after further review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here. Yesterday, LSU receiver Winnie Watkins met with reporters, which was the last day of media availability in spring for LSU football. And I want to take some time to explore the significance of Watkins, I think, on this team, specifically and in this offense. We're going to get to that after the top of the hour. We'll talk a ton of NFL draft in hour number 3 as well. Right now, though, Musso Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, we'll start with the NBA playoffs from a night ago. Naz Reid and the Timberwolves, they took a 2-1 series lead over the Nuggets. For Naz, it was 18 minutes off the bench. 5 points in the game to go along with 6 rebounds and a couple of assists. Cool +4 there for Naz Reid. To Major League Baseball, Alex Bregman and the Cubbies, winners over the Phillies. Bregman went 1 for 5 in the ball game. That was a single. Average sits at 260. Did draw a walk in that game as well. Grant Taylor got his first win of the season for the Chicago White Sox. Inning and 2/3 of relief. 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and punched out 3. 26 pitches, 19 of those for strikes. He is now 1-0 on the year. Josh Smith and the Texas Rangers, winners over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Smitty did draw a walk and scored a run, but wore the collar 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Major League Baseball action here tonight. Paul Skeens, he will be on the bump as the Pirates travel up to Milwaukee. He'll oppose Brandon Woodruff. Skeens 3-1 on the year with a 3.27 ERA, 22 innings pitched, 7 walks, 23 punch-outs for Paul Skeens. He goes for his 4th win, and the Pirates look to continue scoring runs for Paul Skeens as they've done. NBA playoff action tonight. Trendon Watford and the Sixers will be back at it with the Celtics. That series flips to Philadelphia. It's tied 1-1. Watford has played in one of the postseason games, has sat out the other one due to coach's decision. And Tari Eason and the Rockets, they host the Lakers, trailing 2-0. Eason has played in both games so far and has gotten off to a pretty good start here in the postseason, but his team needs to pick it up a little bit. That's Tigers in the pros.
Remind you about River Parish Contractors. They are hiring and looking for hard-working people that want a great opportunity. They got immediate openings right now for tackers, for pipe fitters, welders, pipe cutters. They've got night shifts, 5-10s, no rainouts, long-term work that you can count on at River Parish Contractors. So, full benefits, right? Insurance, 401k, paid time off. If you want to go to work for a solid team, a great local company, you want River Parish Contractors. Got to hang out actually a bit on Wednesday at the SNF Safety Day with my friends from River Parish Contractors, Ronnie and the whole team up there. They're the best. If you're interested, go to rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com, or call Big Jake at 985-479-9858, 985-479-9858 for River Parish Contractors, rpcontractors.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review here from the Zurich Classic on this Friday edition of AFR, and we're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We mentioned Jordan Tyson met with reporters after he was taken 8th overall by the New Orleans Saints, and talked about, this is the clip that's gotten a lot of people's attention when he talked about playing alongside Chris Olave.
It's going to be amazing. Shoot, take pressure off each other, make our jobs easier, and shoot, I feel like us one-on-one, shoot, it's going to get ugly.
Could get ugly. To have a 1-2 punch like that, a tandem with Tyson, who could be your number 1, and with Olave as your number 2, different skill sets, different stylistically. It was one of the main issues I had a season ago with Olave, Shaheed, then they signed Brandon Cooks. It was 3 dudes that all looked the same physically, right? Same size, similar skill set as well. You need it different. Well, 6'2", 200 pounds, that's different. Kellen Moore, afterwards, was also talked about Jordan Tyson and how he complements Chris Olave, sort of alluding to that a little bit there.
I think the big thing with all of our receivers, and really you can look at probably almost that whole group collectively, is their versatility, their ability to line up in multiple positions, line up in a lot of spots. You watch Jordan's career, he's lined up in a number of places. And so certainly, you know, him and Chris and Bay and all the other guys, their versatility is a positive for us. We're not going to be stuck in guys playing one position. You know, certainly we'll have home bases for all those guys, but they'll be able to line up wherever they need to.
Love to hear that. And I think one more from Kellen Moore, and this is 9 Muse if we could. He was asked about wide receiver being a priority in the first round, and it's something like, I guess we have this conversation all the time, and we sort of assume certain things, but like we, us, you, me, fans, media, whatever, we've all talked about why receiver was a necessity, because you could look at that room and go, man, you're really lacking a star. But it's something the Saints also have just never been prone to do. Well, you have a new head coach, a new quarterback, and sort of a new day, a new direction, and that's the route they went. Here was Kellen Moore.
It wasn't must-do in the first round. Obviously, you understand, hey, these first rounds take a lot of different paths, and we were prepared to handle a lot of different routines or potential scenarios here, and this one turned out great. You know, we were fired up to get Jordan, and so we got plenty of work to do. We got plenty more picks to you know, go through as we go through this whole process the next 2 days, and so it'll be a lot of fun.
The next 2 days begins tonight, here in about an hour and 6 minutes, as day 2 of the NFL draft will resume. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Y'all, gents, Mother's Day right around the bend. Make sure you take care of Mom after she spends her whole life taking care of all of us slackers. I just told you my mom took care of me today. I'm 43 years old, having a little car trouble. I borrowed my mom's Volkswagen today to drive down here. Moms are always there for you, so take care of Mom on Mother's Day. Make sure you thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Let's put a button here in hour number 2. Get you caught up on national headlines from SportsCenter. We'll lock into that because the draft resumes in a little more than an hour. What's the latest scuttle? We'll find out when we hit SportsCenter here in just a smidge on AFR.
AFR.
Sorry about that, Muse. Went a little heavy there. We're brought about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com. Maybe you want to buy a whole bunch of acreage to build a beautiful golf course like this one. I don't know. Maybe you're a developer and you'd want to do that. Well, First South Farm Credit can help you buy that land. There's all types of zoning things and stuff that would factor in. It may make that cost prohibitive, but you do you. Maybe you just want that recreational property, that hunting property in Mississippi or Texas. Maybe you want the 100 acres in St. Francisville or Clinton. Maybe you work in New Orleans, but you want to live on the North Shore and commute and have the city, the city lifestyle for work, but you want to have the rural lifestyle at home. First South Farm Credit can help make that happen. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Log on to firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com.